Milne, Canterbury coach and former New Zealand athletics coach, coach of Mary O'Connor and many other athletes. Bruce is a long-time Lydiard advocate. So, Bruce, when did you first meet Arthur Lydiard?
I met Arthur as a schoolboy at New Plymouth Boys High, and he was just on a trip around New Zealand after the Rome Olympics, and he took the school's cross-country team for a run around our course. And I can still remember running down the main street or the footpath back to Boys High, and I'd forgotten my shoes, and he looked at me and said, "Boy, where are your shoes?" And I was so intrigued by his talk about Snell and how he trained them, and I knew I was going to Auckland the next year. When I went to Auckland, I went to Otahu College. I started running, and I was actually trained by a guy named Alan Middleton, who started a whole bunch of good young guys up there, and he was just a builder's labourer, and we did a lot of interval training, and but he got me going. And then I got to the point where I was one of the best New Zealand middle distance runners, 4:48.80 a mile in those days. And what actually happened is that after winning a few titles, I realised that we were missing a vital element, that I didn't have like cross-country endurance. And then we got Lydiard involved then, and that changed my life really. And I was on the way to becoming a reasonably good runner. I ran with Pete Snell a couple of times, one in Nelson, where I got third and behind Snell and Morris, and I thought I was going to win it actually, but Pete was unfit. He came past us right at the end, and it was almost chucking up over the fence afterwards and thanked me for nothing, being the young fella. And then I ran on Western Springs later in 1,000 metres, and as a young fellow I did quite well there. I think I ran 2:22.8 or something, but
That's flying.
Yeah, they did. So yeah, Arthur was helping train me, and was virtually taking over the distance training that I was doing, and had made the Auckland cross country team after running the Oraka cross country. And unfortunately, he took my kneecap off the week after that. So like you do, I came back and ran without it.
Arthur took your kneecap off?
No, motorbike.
Oh, motorbike took your kneecap off.
Not so good.
No, not recommended.
No, I wouldn't recommend any young fella rides a motorbike at all. I've stopped quite a few since then.
Well, I remember riding a motorbike out to your physiotherapy clinic in 1978 along Hoon Hay Road, and a guy going into a car park didn't see me and knocked me off the bike, and I dented the tank and got up on the bike and restarted, toddled around to your clinic, and then you got stuck in. But it put me up for a few months here in Christchurch.
Ooh, that's not so good, is it? Yeah, motorbikes there.
Massive hematoma in the quads.
Yeah, they're
probably the best place to go straight after injury is to the clinic. Yeah,
it just proves that we can identify talent, we can train it. Sometimes we don't manage that talent so well. I think that's still one of the major problems that we've got.
Before I sold that bike, I used to ride around Christchurch with a big Mexican sun hat on, glued to the helmet, and with an orange wig underneath, and people saw me on the bike after that.
Yeah, well, I was told by the president of the Otahu Athletic Club not to ride one, but I didn't listen. He said, "Son, you're just a temporary citizen." And I said, "No, sir, I'm very careful." But the roadworks weren't lit, and it was wet, and it was dark, and the car had knocked over the signage, and then I came along next, unfortunately. Spent 3 days in intensive care. Wasn't so good. Broke my skull, my back, pulped my right kneecap. But I did run in a couple of New Zealand 800 metre finals without it. But of course I wasn't going to do that well. They had no Paralympic category for me.
You could go back as a Masters Paralympian?
I went back as a Masters athlete and actually ran pretty well. As a 40-year-old, I actually ran under 2 minutes for 800 metres. And Bruce Hunter took that off us, you and Bell and I, with a 157 something. So there you go.
The All Black winger.
That's right, and he was the one that my last 800 metre final in Dunedin, 1975, the year after the Commonwealth Games. I was in the final there, and Bruce won that. That was his last major win. I was actually in the final.
Yeah.
From memory, I got about a fourth, but there was a Brit in front of me, so there you go. Yeah. And then Arthur was hanging over the fence and said, "That's your Olympics, Milne. Now you're coach."
He was quite direct, wasn't he, Arthur?
He didn't mince words.
Yeah.
Don't waste my time once, never twice. Do anything for you, but don't waste my time, because time is all I've got.
Yeah. He certainly gave us his time, didn't he?
Gave me amazing amount of time. So even though he wasn't direct coaching me in those days, he was totally influential. And even when I took my kneecap off, he said, "What are we going to do with you?" "Oh, I know what we're going to do. Get you a pair of shoes."
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
And then he went off to South America or somewhere there, and then ended up in Finland after that. Came back in '74 and found me running again. Said, "Well, you're running okay, but you still haven't got enough endurance." I said, "I haven't got a kneecap." He says, "Stop now." He said, "We'll train you for nationals next year."
Yeah.
And it was the age of about 33, 34. And I went, "I've just done all this training." He said, no, you haven't got enough endurance, so we'll give you a bit more. So we did that, had a good cross-country season, and ended up in that New Zealand final. So
That's you placed in that, didn't you?
yeah, well, it's technically not, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, but I did pretty well on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got fourth or fifth, I think. It was very, very close. I wasn't far back from the winner.
I reckon that placings in finals should have little asterisks with the backstory for each finisher who didn't win.
Yeah, I think they had a coaches meeting after that, and Lydiard and Arch was there, Arch Jelly, and I think Alan Middleton said something like, they said, "God, it must have been a weak field because the man without a kneecap nearly beat them." I was leading with 300 metres to go. I just went quite fast enough. Because in my school days, I ran like 48.9 for 440 yards, and I could run 154.55 for 880. And they kept telling me that Pete Snell had run there 6-7 years before and had run with 159 too. So I think I was on the way, but didn't get managed very well, did I?
No.
Yeah. But we've trained a few since then. Maybe 200 New Zealand title holders, and Mary O'Connor was only 5 foot. Didn't too bad. Kid from Cockatoo.
Was she that tall?
And she's just tiny.
I thought she was even shorter than that.
Might have been even slightly under 5 foot, but
Yeah.
on about 5
Yeah, she
foot.
always said she's about 5.
Yeah, but boy, did she train well. Yeah, so you do the right training, and you get good results. She won 10 New Zealand road titles, 4 or 5 cross-country titles, 6 track titles, ran half marathon and, from memory, 70 minutes and about 58 seconds, I think. I might be slightly wrong, but that's right. And 2:28 marathon. And the girl in front of her, she got second, broke the world record, and it was good of 8, so...
Oh, well, you can't argue with that, can you?
And Mary ran the negative split.
Yeah.
Ran the second half faster than the first, and probably if they run a bit further, it might even caught Bates, but the race stops at 42.2k.
That's unfortunate. I remember running with Mary in the forest on a long run, and I think I've told you this. The whole lot of guys were running with her, and she was up to about our armpits, and they got really annoyed because she was just chatting away like a little sparrow, chirping away, and these guys are just dropping off the back and out the back door.
Yep.
And I think we went another 5 miles past where they just dropped off, because there's that big loop around the forest. You could just drop off where you felt.
We were running for 3 hours probably. It'd be fairly normal.
I'll have it in a diary somewhere. But anyway, I distinctly remember her being so strong and running so well and so easily and so small. but the guys just couldn't handle it.
It's efficiency, isn't it?
Yeah.
You run out of efficiency, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter that you might have muscular strength and endurance. You run out of efficiency, and then when that happens, there's nowhere to go. That's the secret to marathon running, really, isn't it? It's having sufficient speed and being able to carry it, and you can have aerobic power, but if you haven't got efficiency, being able to run with all that fat burning metabolism in the bottom half of your aerobic capacity, then you won't have it. I remember getting told off by Arthur, actually a bit later in my coaching career, and I still remember it. And we were talking about, I thought he was talking about anaerobic threshold. He said, "You've got to have a really good aerobic threshold, Bruce." And I thought, oh, maybe he's getting old and he's missed something here. And then he said to me, "You're the physiologist, don't you understand? We're trying to improve your aerobic threshold." Because he said, when you do, the whole graph shifts, Bruce.
Yep.
And
So he's meaning the entry point into the aerobic fat burning lipolysis.
Yes.
As
And then
opposed to the
volume
body
training.
Yeah.
He says when you get above 60%, and like you've got in your book, under 75, he says you do a volume of training there, you'll shift your aerobic threshold, and so your anaerobic threshold will improve as well.
So it just lifts
The whole graph.
Yeah.
And that's the bit that everybody's missing.
Yeah. Because I was looking at a cycling magazine where they had a breakdown on types of training that'll benefit certain parts of your capacity, and they had a thing called, might have been E4 or something, which is a very intensive training. And
Effort 4, yep.
Yeah, effort 4. That improves your max VO2 apparently, but it doesn't. No.
We've just talked about what improves it.
E1 perhaps, or E2.
Yep,
Lifts it all
that
up.
is the secret, and that's why you just get out and you run and you get more and more efficient. Cellular efficiency, you learn to burn fat acid for fuel, the fat vacuoles increase, the RNA, DNA is better, so that mitochondria, that is what you're improving, and it's efficiency, so you can use a greater portion of your VO2 max for longer. And that's the secret, and a lot of people are misunderstanding that, and they're training the wrong end still. But your book points out that right at the top, that's going to put you in acidosis, and that will actually put you backwards rather than develop you.
Well, that's what Arthur was saying, because a little known secret, which can come out now, I think, because the main players have moved on. Apparently, Peter Coe, Seb Coe's father and coach, sought advice quite regularly from Arthur, and
that's correct.
Yeah, and on one occasion,
I knew that.
Yeah, there was a call from England that came through to where Arthur was working at Winston Cement at the time as I don't know what he did there, but they sponsored him anyway, and
he was coaching with their sponsorship. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah,
I've even got some of the old programs.
They were pretty good.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, little vignettes of information from Arthur, straight from the mouth. Yeah. Anyway, Peter Coe was very concerned about Seb having raised glands, and Arthur apparently immediately said, "Well, what's he been doing? Too much anaerobic work," and told him immediately to back off and just jog for a while. And this was leading into the '84 Olympics.
Yep.
And so it must have worked because he did brilliantly.
Correct.
And apparently he just had a predilection for lots of anaerobic work and just loved it, but it came at a cost.
Yep.
So he went into a basic jogging recovery mode and restored his
pH levels and restored his healthy physiology.
Yep. And this is another thing that we've been talking about. Excuse me, I'm just scratching my nose.
Yeah.
Health first.
Yeah.
Performance second. Correct?
No.
No.
Health first, fitness second, fit for what? Performance third.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do, because we're trying to keep these kids healthy, getting them active, but also getting them to eat the right foods and build a base, an aerobic base. So you teach them skills, have fun, and build an aerobic base. And until you've got maturity, you're just going to destroy them if you train them hard. So you build up the wrong part of your heart. You build up the ventricle instead of the atrium. So you have a very powerful small heart instead of a big heart. Like
Physiology backs it up, because it has been found that. What?
The battery's nearly
Oh,
done.
sorry.
Oh,
We're
okay.
on a roll, sorry.
I know. I'll
Is it gone?
just
Okay.
sign off is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We could continue this conversation later, maybe by FaceTime Live.
Yes, I'd be happy to have questions and answers and some of the anecdotal stuff. I was around Arthur for so long
Yeah.
that if he's here now, he'd say, Milne, I taught you all of it, and you've gone and got yourself educated as well, so what are you doing with it?
Yeah.
So I'm back trying to work with the kids and anyone who'll train after a hip replacement. So here we go. I'm sorry I can't come down to Queenstown, because I'd love to be there just doing what we're doing now.
Well, we're going to have quite a collection, actually, of